Okay, so Mr. Harris, are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Drury, are you ready as well?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll start. Well, I see the Schreibers and that Schreiber and Bouchard are also here, and so I'll swear all the parties in, and we can get started. So, can I have the parties raise their right hands, please? Do you each swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Drury for the petitioners.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Andre Bouchard as a witness, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bouchard. Mr. Drury will ask you some questions. Go ahead, Mr. Drury.
Thank you. Mr. Bouchard, do you know the respondent in this matter?
Yes, he lives a block and a half away from us on Division Street for the last around 4 years.
And have you measured in any way the distance between your home and his home?
Yes, it is 545 feet according to Google Maps.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like you to turn your attention to October 6th. On that day, did you happen to come into contact with the respondent?
Yes, sir. I was bicycling with my 8-year-old daughter, Calista Bouchard. We just taken her training wheels off. We were taking a bicycle ride around the neighborhood. And we were proceeding southbound, nearing the corner of Fern and 17th, about 2 blocks away from our home, maybe 3. And we noticed Mr. Harris pass us on in the incoming lane of traffic in his SUV. We thought no more of it. We continued along 1 more block. And as we were entering the intersection for 17th and Division, I saw Mr. Harris in his SUV, the same one, proceeding at a high rate of speed. In the span that we went 1 block, he had gone 7. He circled a 7-block area to come at us in his SUV. He was honking his horn loudly, or as a horn goes, sounded loud. I yelled for my daughter to get off the street. Mr. Harris, about 1.5 years ago, threatened to run my kids over in his vehicle in a separate incident. She ramped up on the side. I had stopped on my side of the street, and he passed me, and I was stopped on my bicycle on my side of the street, so close that I could feel the wind off of his vehicle, all while honking his horn. I was very angry at that point in time and yelled, "F you, man," because this is just the latest in dozens of incidents that he has chosen to go out of his way and harass me and my kids and my wife. And yeah, and then we called the police. I walked my bike onto the sidewalk. I walked with my daughter home, and we called the police and we filed an incident.
Thank you. And that day, did police come into contact, as far as you're aware, with the respondent?
Yes, sir. The police officer asked if it would be helpful for them to go to Mr. Harris's house and ask him to stop his behavior. I had asked Mr. Harris many times in the past to stop, to leave us alone. And I said, I don't know. I told the officer that I didn't know. It may escalate things. It may not, that I would rely on the officer's judgment. The officer, I think, did visit Mr. Harris later that afternoon and asked him to cease his behavior of stalking, harassment, and threats.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned he came so close during that incident that you could feel the wind off the car.
Yeah.
Is it possible that, he's just driving fast and that incident had nothing to do with you, or did it appear that he was directing this activity towards you?
So the only way to have circled around to us was to go 3 blocks, for him to go 3 blocks up 14th Avenue, turn right, drive another block down 14th, take another right, drive 3 blocks south. If he wanted to turn around his vehicles for any reason, there was the alley that the HOA owns in behind his house that he could turned around, and he could have saved time in. So there's no logical reason why he would have been around the block again. It wouldn't save them time or anything like that. So I can see no reason why he would have just been driving 7 blocks out of his way for really any reason.
Was there any obstructions in the road that forced him to come so close to you?
No, there were no cars parked nearby. My daughter was on the sidewalk around the time that she ramped up on the sidewalk. She's 8. We just took the training wheels off her bike.
You also in the petition mentioned an incident that occurred on, I think, the next day. Can you describe that incident just briefly?
Yes, sir. So I was in there's a empty space in between the Division and Fern. I was playing ball with my dog on a long leash, and Mr. Andy was driving, turned in and was driving northbound in the alley adjacent to that. It's an alley that's owned by the homeowners association. And he rolled down his window, slowed down, glared at me, and said "mean punk" loudly at me, and then drove off.
Was that the end of that incident?
I called the police up again afterwards.
You mentioned in your early testimony that this type of activity on the roads has happened other times. Over the last year or year and a half, how many times would you say you've had similar incidents like this with the respondent?
There have been 6 incidents since last March. I would think probably about a dozen in the last year and a half. We haven't called the police for all of them, but rest assured that I would rather be doing other things with my time than calling the police on a neighbor. My mother passed away on October 16th, and she was in a hospice for weeks before that. This was not a distraction that I wanted in my life. I would have rather lived and let live.
And as far as how these incidences have impacted you, what has, if any, been the impact for you and your family?
We've changed how we don't walk in our neighborhood nearly as much anymore. We used to do family walks together, me and my wife and our 2 children and our dogs. We don't walk down his block of Division, so we go considerably out of our way to get home every day. And recently we bought a mobile camera that we can wear, and we don't leave the home since this last set of incidents without that and on, because we are genuinely afraid that he's going to try to run one of us over or play chicken with a 2-ton SUV with us. We haven't gone out. But my daughter's wanted to go out on her bicycle, but she's been too afraid to. Yeah, it's changed our patterns of moving. It's changed the way that we enjoy our neighborhood. And yeah, it's just laid a cloud of fear over our lives.
Thank you. And Your Honor, if I could just take some brief testimony from Ms. Schreiber as well.
Sure. All right, Ms. Schreiber, Mr. Drury is going to ask you some questions.
Ms. Schreiber, you've had the opportunity to hear Mr. Bouchard's testimony. Have you had recent similar type incidences with the respondent, Mr. Harris?
Yeah, I mean, after the October 6th and 7th, I went out on my weekend. It was Indigenous Peoples Day and the day before that. And both times Mr. Harris was circling the block and I was walking the dog, and he pulled up and he started to stare at me while the car drove, and I walked till I got out my phone, and then he went away. I mean, I've had countless experiences where we've been walking down. He followed me down the block one day when I was walking my dog, and I turned right onto, I always get the streets messed up, but his street is Division, whatever the one is there, 15th, I think.
14th.
15th.
Okay, 15th.
And I turned right on 15th, and he followed me down the block, and he said, he told me to ask me what was up with my husband, and then he told me that he was watching us and that I better watch out. And I just was walking my dog. Okay. I mean, on an incident where we didn't call the police, he sat in the alley while my kids were out this summer, and he stared at us like from the alley. I had to bring the kids inside.
This incident where you're walking the dog, I mean, you mentioned his vehicle. Is the vehicle just driving by you, or?
No, it's slowing down.
Is it
the vehicle keeping pace with me walking my dog till I get out my phone to try to record it? That's why we got the GoPro, because all of this is, I don't have time to pick up my phone, hit in my passcode, and like hit record with like my dog on the leash.
You mentioned a GoPro. Why?
It's a portable camera that we have it on a lanyard, and you can hit play, like you can record as you leave the house. So it just records around my neck.
Did you purchase that regarding these incidences, or is it just a?
Yeah, we purchased it after the Indigenous, like the day that weekend, the Indigenous Peoples Day, because after the police came to Mr. Harris's house on October 6th, he filed a court order that an anti-harassment suit on us, and it was false, and it threatened my kids with the system. I mean, it was dismissed in the court, but after that, we realized that that the ante was raised, and we needed to protect ourselves, at least with video footage.
And that's, I guess, my point. Did you buy the GoPro because of Mr.
Yes.
Harris' behavior, or was it just something you bought?
No, we bought it specifically for Mr. Harris's behavior.
And this type of behavior where he's slowing down and keeping pace with you, staring at you, how many times has that happened? More than one time?
Yeah. We don't call the police every time for that. It happens on a regular basis when these incidents happen in clusters, but when we avoid him to the best of our capability. I have to walk the dog. I sometimes like to take my kids out on walks. We try to avoid it, but yeah, it happens nearly every time that he's out in our vehicle and we're walking. Either it's stopping and staring and leering, or it's speeding up. On the October 6th incident, he had passed me and my son walking our dog, blaring his horn, like going really fast down. I mean, every time we see him in the vehicle, there's something that happens.
When he's engaged in this, is it possible, in your experience, in the moment, that there's another reason? For example,
No.
he's slowing down for,
No.
street crossers, or does it appear to be directed at you?
It's 1000% directed at us.
And the same question I asked Mr. Bouchard, how has this activity by Mr. Harris impacted you?
I mean, beyond the fact that my kids are terrified and I don't let them out the front of my house. We never drive past his house. We drive blocks out of our way because, like Andre said, the neighborhood's in a loop. So it's a closed system. You have to drive around. We drive around one way or the other. We drive out of our way. We don't walk. I never walk the dog past his house. I always go down the alley. I've had to tell the babysitter to not let the kids outside when I've been stared at and leered at when he's outside stalking the neighborhood. The kids don't get to go outside. They're 8 and 6.
And you filed, as part of your petition, a declaration of Kim Newland. Can you just briefly tell who that is?
That's our neighbor, and that's our neighbor 2 doors down.
Okay. So she's also in the neighborhood there.
Yes.
Okay. And I also note that you filed various incident reports and police reports regarding some of these incidents.
We did that because in 2023, after he threatened to kill my kids twice with his car, the judge dismissed our case and said that we needed to provide more evidence. And so one of the ways they said to do that was to create incident reports, because they couldn't. And in that incident, that was after the incident that one of them where Mr. Harris got out of his car and was screaming at my husband. And he said he wouldn't stop his car if he saw my kids in the street. And then he circled the block again that time to tell us the same thing. And that's when we filed our initial.
After that incident way back then, do you feel that a court order, that this, if the court were to just tell Mr. Harris to stop this, but no court order, do you feel like that would improve your situation at all?
I mean, the court order is what we have on our side to be able to protect us in the event of, like, this has been escalating since the day that he stood naked in front of his window my first day that we moved into the neighborhood and yelled at me for my dog. I mean, this is the only lever that we have. He almost just hit my husband with his car. The next time he's going to hit my husband with his car, my husband's going to go to the ER and they're going to say, why didn't you get a protection order? Or he's going to go up next to one of my kids and my kids are going to make a bad decision because they don't behave like adults. I mean, it's going to escalate, and this is the only lever we have. And we will still walk with the GoPro. That won't stop. I don't feel safe walking around the neighborhood, but this is the only thing we have in the system to support us.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. I think that's all I have, Your Honor, with the petitioners.
All right. Anybody else that you want me to hear from, or shall I hear from Mr. Harris?
I don't have any other witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Harris, let me hear your side of it.
Well, Your Honor, when I hear them say this, of course, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make them feel comfortable. But there is another side of the story. I've owned my house for 20 years and never had any problems with to this extent. As far as when I got this court appointment, I went and spoke to a couple of the neighbors to see, what was going on. And I'm finding out they were asking for a petition against my driving like 3 and 4 years ago, when even some of the people entering the neighborhood, their neighbors directly beside them. I don't like to try to stick to the facts, but they said I turned on their water one summer, and just really making me into someone that we're pretty busy. We have to drive past their house, because 2 doors past their house, I submitted a video. When you go two doors past is my entrance to get behind the property. There's been a couple times where she was leering at me, and when I turned I mean, I was in the Marine Corps. I noticed my surroundings, and we just thought, me and my wife actually thought they were really weird. But they're so worried about my criminal history from 20 years ago as they submitted it. Means nothing. I don't have anything against kids. They've definitely upped the ante into threats that I would never. I don't even speak to these people, and I definitely ignore them. There's so much here. You know, I knew he had driven. I submitted it. He's bashing me on my drive, and I go down the street and I look at the speedometer. If I have a brand new car, brand new diesel truck that drive down there 25 mile an hour to get to my property, just coming home from the dealership, he would have some antics. And then they're talking about another truck in what they submitted, spinning tire. Diesel trucks aren't really spinning tire. This Land Rover, I was selling it for a friend. I had it one day and I was selling it. And I went around the neighborhood. I have a couple witnesses. I didn't even speak to him. When we went around the neighborhood once and came to the stop sign. We came to the stop sign. He came in front of the car and said, "Fuck you, man." And to be honest, we laughed because there was a guy jumping in front of the car, acting dramatic and everything else. I regret even laughing. We drove away. Wasn't close to him. I even brought the witness in that was in the car. You know, me, my wife, and most of the neighborhood know. And the craziest thing is, this is what's unsettling for me. You know, I'm a lot into safety at work. So when I look at the neighborhood, I had talked with the HOA, which is totally dormant. But there's all these blind corners in these little alleys. So I actually was the one that got the signs in that said wrong way when you enter. That way you wouldn't drive straight in. The end of the street, they're doing like 40 down the street. It's 25. So I went and called the city because a kid played in the corner. This was like 8-9 years ago, and put the stop sign in. So what I'm getting at is you can't appease these people by driving 25. I drove like 12 mile an hour in a Nissan Leaf, and no one wants to write anything against them because they're definitely different. But they always have their kids. 4 years ago when they moved in, their kids were so far away. Even my wife had said, you know, not good parenting having these little kids so far away. So when I would drive by them in my dark diesel, they would look at me like I felt so weird. It was just the look. And you're just driving like 8 mile an hour trying to get around the turn. So now I see, and it was like 3 years ago because their neighbors started growing their grass green. We would talk about the lawn. I went over there after I had seen them at the roundabout in my wife's car, and I knocked on the door, and I seen the guy, Andre. He walked in the back door, went out the front, and just a smaller kid. He's like, "We're going to go for a walk, but there's a bad man on the street." They're so worried about my criminal history 20 years before. It has encompassed them. So I know this to be true. Many people on the street know this to be true. But the last thing I would like to do is to come in here and say, I have nothing about kids, anything. I mean, in my life, having anything against the kid is the worst thing ever. So just hearing that doesn't make me, you know, and that's why when I talk about harassment, when I look at all I call them nuisance calls, you know, the glaring, the sneering, all this other stuff. It's like, you got to take a couple deep breaths. I mean, just to see that I mean, I'm in my 50s. I have a nice property. I take care of my place. And then I even did a volunteer group because there was no HOA where we painted the curbs that were coming up from the street was buckled there as a sidewalk. So it's just like, even the guy that did the volunteer work, and I had to do printouts, hand them out. We did this like 4 years in a row right before they came. But it's just, you know, they're in the way of the road once. And I said one time, you know, you could keep your kids out of the street. They're impeding the road. But of course I'd stop for a child running out, but they didn't even look. That was a couple of years ago. But and then it's not that they have to be perfect, but when I look at the submission of the only declaration, they changed the date. If you look at the police report, they changed the date to get a little closer. And then out of the blue, Andre's trying to run to get on the board, which HOAs are known for being harassing if you wanted to be. So I was like, there's nothing going on except for that one incident where I drove. You can't even drive the car around the neighborhood. But, if they have witnesses, I have a witness that I brought that was in the car. I submitted and then my wife, she's the one who wrote that they were bad parents because we see the kids just everywhere. And, even when I knew they were doing the order, you drive down the street and there is Tracy holding the dog back from jumping out in the street because he's not the most disciplined dog. I don't have a disciplined dog either. I carry him around because I worry about him. But it's just the point is, and I pulled up from now on out, now that I know that they're in such fear of their lives, which I don't believe. I think that this will never end. That's people's comments that'll never end. But I wouldn't even look or laugh because they really want you to pay for saying you could keep your kids out of the street. They've blown it out of proportion. And the accident that he had, he was going so fast in the alley across the street. He beat me to a pulp on my drive. And when you look at the incident report, he totaled out 2 cars in the shortest alley. It says injury to the 2 kids, 6 and 8. Injury, he hit the car. He's jumping across the alley. I don't drive in their alley. I don't walk on their property. I would avoid their place. I always thought it was odd. He kept complaining in everything that I asked. They come out of their alley and they've got 3 ways to go. If I went and spoke to the HOA president, you see Tracy hop in her car and she goes and drives behind the house. My house, because all the properties have, it's like on the alleys in Olympia, all the alleys would connect and it shows there in the plot map. We all share access to that alley. And I'm like, wow, if I back out of my garage, last thing I would want to do is back into one of these people crying bloody murder. I mean, so I was like, I don't understand if why they would be on my property. And previously, my wife had almost got hit by him. We're not into the petty stuff. But he looked inside the fence holding the dog. And I'm like, my wife has plants. You're looking inside my fence as you're walking by. This was like 3 years ago. I don't want you near my fence. So, I seen something. Now I find out he had been trying to petition for my drive and acts as if I'm this forever. There's no statute of limitations. I'm the forever bad guy. And, telling people I turned his water on or, he comes by the house. If he did call the cops, he'd come by the house. The cops are coming. They can't wait to get you. And he has a little bit of a lisp. So, of course, I'm not the perfect person, but let me tell you what, I am not harassing these people in any way. I'm going down to my spot. I'm turning right. I'm going in there, and I would never walk or drive down their alley. And then when I drive in other alleys, this has been my complaint in my neighborhood. The alley goes to your house for entrance to your garage. If you totaled out 2 cars in that alley, I would prefer he wasn't in my alley. So that's, as far as not driving in their alley, if they wanted to pick a certain way to walk, and, if I just stayed to my street and they walk the other, I'm willing to work with them just because and a GoPro would be the best thing because I think I need forward cameras because they like to change what I hear.
All right, Mr. Harris, I think this is getting a little bit kind of off track here and you're getting a little bit repetitive. So why don't you just sort of bring it to a conclusion?
I am at an end. I'm just saying that's how I think.
Okay.
Do I get to show the witness of the day that they said that I did all this?
Is that I can't open it right now. Is that the person who filed the declaration?
Yes,
the one
sir.
Who was with you in I reviewed that. That's already in the record.
Well, I brought him here if you have any
He
questions.
doesn't have to, there's, unless he's
Just
gonna,
nothing's going on but the rent.
okay. All right, Mr. Drury, you want to sum it up for the petitioners, and then I'll let Mr. Harris sum it up for himself.
Of course, Your Honor. Is that, I guess I'll just go with, are you asking for concluding statements or further testimony, Your Honor?
Concluding statements.
Thank you. This is not a matter about speed. I mean, certainly my clients are concerned about the level of speed that Mr. Harris seems to use coming down the roads there, but we're not here to try to enforce traffic laws. What they've described, and I find it incredible that now Mr. Harris is saying, well, now that he knows that they're in fear, he's known this for months and months and months. This is classical stalking behavior, classical harassing behavior, where he is going out of his way within the neighborhood, whether it's utilizing speed to put fear into my clients and coming up next to them when there's no need to do that, or pulling up and slowly pacing alongside of them in their vehicles. And his answer to that is, well, it's not me, it's just them. They're doing these things, and I'm so surprised by all this. I'm a great guy. Well, he knows that's false. The police reports and the incident reports that my clients submitted verify that this and corroborate that this activity is going on, and he's been warned numerous times by both police, by previous actions, and he just will not stop. This type of activity doesn't have a lawful purpose. It's a course of conduct, and he's, for whatever reason, eerily focused on them, and he's just not going to stop. And they are really begging this court for an order to get this to stop.
All right, Mr. Harris, you want to sum it up from your side?
Well, just like I said, I found out just now over the years what they've been doing. I think it's petty, but at the same time, I didn't know it was to this level of this. I never spoke to the policeman. Policeman came down, said it was nothing criminal, and I wasn't there when he came down. I don't deserve an order because I'm not engaged. I'm just actually need an entrance to my property. And other times I've came in was just to get him to stop driving in my alley or filming me in the private property.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. All right, these neighborhood conflicts are kind of tough. Obviously you've lived together there in the same neighborhood for years. And when this hearing's over and everybody goes away, you're still going to be neighbors. You're still going to be living in the same neighborhood, just like you have been. I tell people all the time, I can't give you a good neighbor. There's nothing I can do to give you a good neighbor. That's between you. You're going to have to figure out a way to live together in the same neighborhood peacefully. So what I'm looking at, I'm applying the law here, not doing anything else. So harassment's a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously annoys, harasses, and is detrimental and would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress, and which actually causes substantial emotional distress and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. Now, of course, even in such cases, the anti-harassment order can't be used to suppress somebody's constitutional right to free expression, and it's not a law that's designed to deal with people who are just rude, overbearing, or obnoxious. In our normal, average, everyday lives, all of us have to deal with difficult people who are obnoxious. That's just how society works. There has to be that much of a thick skin out there to be able to deal with the kind of people that you ordinarily run into. So what I've been considering this, and this isn't an easy case to decide, because I have to be mindful of the fact that, Mr. Harris has got rights. He's going to be coming and going from that neighborhood. An anti-harassment order is not a mechanism to, like Mr. Drury said, to regulate how people drive. So no matter what happens here, you're still going to see Mr. Harris, and he's still going to see you, and you've got to figure out a way to deal with that. So in this instance, I've heard enough evidence between the testimony of the parties, the declarations that have been filed previously, and I'm aware of the allegations that have been made in the prior petition by Schreiber and Bouchard and the prior petition by Mr. Harris, which the court heard, I believe, last week. That does convince me by a preponderance of the evidence that harassment is going on here. I think that that's a fair way to characterize what's going on here. So as a result of that, I am going to issue an order, but again, as I said, there are significant limitations to what sort of thing the court can order. When people come into a situation like this, I think they frequently expect that the court can make the other person disappear from their lives. And I think that I know Mr. Drury is a very reasonable attorney, and I expect that he's managed expectations here, but I will issue an order that prohibits any contact or any stalking. But nothing about this order can prohibit or will prohibit Mr. Harris from using or accessing his own property.
I want to say in our original order, we specified 150 feet because we were conscious of the neighborly relationship, Your Honor.
Am I able to drive down my own street from parked in front of my house to go to the alley?
Yeah,
to turn
like I
in?
said, I'm not regulating the use of the streets out there. I understand the layout and geography out there, and as Ms. Schreiber said, it's a closed system.
Can I ask that they don't drive in my alley?
But not as part of this hearing. Just make sure that this is done correct. All right, this order will be in effect for 1 year from today's date. And I'll file that with the clerk now. And Mr. Harris, since you're here, you'll get a copy of it right now. Otherwise, Mr. Drury, I think you know how to access the documents from the court file.
Of course, Your Honor.
After 12 months, does it get erased or what?
It doesn't, it's not in effect after 12 months. It just ends. All right, Mr. Harris, there you go. There's your copy.
We need to avoid them, but I don't see how it's possible with today's date. But I appreciate your time.
I'm going to swear you
as
both
well.
in, or all three of you in. Raise your right hand, please. Do you each swear the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. All right, then, Ms. Rohr, you're the petitioner in both these cases, so you get to go first. Now, I called them both at the same time, but they are actually two cases, but I figured since they're related, I'd hear them together. I will make a decision in them separately. The decision in one doesn't control the decision in the other. Okay. And so everybody keep in mind that everything that you filed in the court file up to this point is already part of the record of the case. I've reviewed the material that's been filed, so it's not necessary to repeat it orally. If you don't have to do that. Okay, Ms. Rohr, go ahead.
When Mallory moved in, we kind of didn't get along. And then Roberts, said that my mailbox has gotten run over one day, and it hadn't. It was perfectly fine. He had just taken it down, and a couple of days later, he said he was going to put up a locking one, which I had no problem with. But until then, I put mine back up, and then he takes it back down, and he puts up a locking one, and he refuses to give me a key. Why? I don't know. I've been there 10 years. Mallory's there like 3 months. And so then after he put it up on October 12th, I didn't get any of my mail. And I have informed delivery, and they were telling me, like, I had a TransUnion credit report come because we were, me and my friend are looking for a mortgage. So they sent me one of them. I didn't get that. I didn't get any of my medical papers that came. And when I said to Robert, I said, well, can you ask Mallory where more my mail is? And he just referred to it after that as missing mail. It's like, no, she's the only one on the property who has a key. So where's my mail?
Let me ask you a couple questions, okay?
Okay.
Just so I can clarify some things in my mind. First of all, is Mr. Rendazzo anything other than a neighbor?
He's my landlord.
Okay,
He owns
And-
the property.
okay, understood. And then I may have more questions on that in a minute. In your petition, what you said is that he came onto your property, stole your home security camera, threatened to kill all your cats, and to smash a camera with a baseball bat. Okay, so I was expecting to hear something about that, not anything about a mailbox.
Well, yeah, well, it started with the mailbox, but then I got the security cameras because I started missing things. And so I caught them going through my yard twice on the cameras. And the second time he did it, he reached up and stole my security camera. He unhooked it and took it with him, and he left. There's a police report on that, and they eventually got it back for me. And that's, and he threatened me and all, as you read the text. And so I just got, nervous and scared, and especially when he put it that way, that threatened to come up, over with a baseball bat and smash my stuff and kill all my cats. And, and it's like, what the hell? Excuse my bad language, but, and it just kind of kept escalating from there.
And that's the text that you enclosed here as part of your case?
Yes, that was the last text he sent me. He did send me one other after the order was served. When my friend tried to serve him, or she served him, he kind of went ballistic, and he got the excavator and he dug a trench behind her car where my guest parking is and trapped us all on there. He drug trees and rocks and stumps out into the driveway, so it was impassable. So we called the cops, and they came and they served him again because I hadn't had time to file it. She had just handed it to him when he did this. And so, he's just intimidating, and he's a lot bigger than me, and he can be mean too. So I thought my best option would, have been to get a harassment order so I can get out of there.
Oh, okay. I guess that'll be my next question. What do you want an anti-harassment order to do?
I want him to leave me alone until and he's been told my friends to get off his property or he'd have their car towed and have him arrested. He's barricaded and where the parking is, so you can't even get anybody in there to help me move. You couldn't get a tow truck in there to pull my trailer out if you tried. He dug all that brush and trees and lined the driveway. He put up signs that says no trespassing and my name on it, and which I don't usually go over there unless I'm going to get one of my cats or something. But I've been there 10 years, and he's treating me like I'm some major thief running around his property, and I didn't steal. I've never stole anything from him.
All right. Is he evicting you?
Yes. I believe because of the theft, because I caught him on camera and turned him in. But I talked to a Northwest Justice Project, and they have given me a lawyer. I'm supposed to meet him tomorrow. And she had called, and he turned off my water the same day that he was served. A few hours later, he turned off my water, and he hasn't turned it on yet. she called him and left messages for him to turn the water back on. He has not turned it on. I'm surprised he hasn't turned off my power yet, honestly. But yeah, I just need him to stop me. Like, I can't get anybody to come in there and help me because nobody wants to deal with, what's going on. And because he told all my friends, stay off, get off my property. It's my property, get off of it or I'll have you arrested and your car's towed. And I've been there 10 years. I got a lot of stuff there, and so.
What about Miss Kelly? How does she figure into this?
Well, she's been stealing my mail because unless the United States Post Office is wrong, they've been delivering it. I eventually had it held, and then I have a change of address going, just have it sent to a post office box.
Now, you said something about her shooting guns.
Occasionally, I'd hear a shot out, and then she'd say, "I just killed your cat." That's what I can hear somebody yelling from the back of the property, and she's on the back half, and
Mhm.
I'm
So
dreaming.
let me ask you this, just so I know kind of the relationships. Is Miss Kelly also
She's a
living on the
tenant.
same property?
Yes,
Okay.
there's 2 lots on the same 2.5 acres. She's on like the back half.
I got you. So just with you, I mean, in the same,
Another
the
tenant.
same land. Yeah, another tenant, the same. Yeah, good way
Yeah.
to put it. Okay, I got you. All right. So, and you think she shot at your cats?
I don't think she shot at him, but that's what I'll hear a shot and hear somebody yell, "I just shot your cat." And then she lets her dog, she has like a 50-foot lead on her leash, and it'll lunge across the driveway and into the field after them. And, they're only little kittens. I mean, they're like a year old.
All right. Is there anything else you want me to know?
Well, after he was served and did the trench across the driveway and all that stuff, he was continually around I put a little fence up around my trailers because of the coyotes. And once even a bear came through. But, the next 4 days after he was served, after the trench incident, he just constantly up against my fence line, just right there for 4 days and trying to be intimidating. And he blocked everything off. And I mean, I can't get anybody in there to help me. Nobody wants to deal with, this. And the tow truck companies don't want to come deal with, so I can't get them to come in to remove some of my cars. But so I'm going to need a little more time. I mean, yeah, I'll pay next month's rent, but I'm going to need a little bit more time to get out of there because I have to convince all my friends it's okay to come back and help me.
That's what you're going to talk to the Northwest Justice Project people about.
Yeah, the eviction and the water turn off and everything.
All right. Ms. Rohr, anything else?
Not too much, no.
All right. I'm going to hear from them and then I'll make a decision. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I will let you decide between yourselves who goes first.
Your Honor, I'd like to address every one of those issues.
Go ahead.
I'd like to first start by saying she's had a pattern of being dishonest for a very long time. She has had a pattern of trying to attack dogs, which has been documented with the Thurston County Sheriff's Department.
Where?
And
Now hold on, Ms. Rohr. Don't interrupt. All right. Don't do that. Just
Okay.
I heard your side of it. I now get to hear their side of it.
Okay.
so what I'm starting to get at is that when I invited Mallory to live there, she has a dog. Now, Debbie hates dogs, vigorously hates dogs, and loves cats. She values cats more than human beings. Okay. When that happened, it started up a long series of events, which is I have suspected for some time that she's been coming on my property and I have a shop back there as well, that she's been taking my stuff. I've never accused her of that and could never prove it. I started marking items to try to prove it. I could not do it. When I noticed that the mail was missing from us even earlier than what she's talking about, I decided to put in a locking mailbox. I suggested to her that she also put in a locking mailbox. I have that in text. I told her I just want to simplify the problem. I wanted to keep things separate. Mail that goes to her, mail that goes to us, to us. She didn't like that. She just put up a bunch of fuss, and I have it all supported in text. I've had every text from her since 2018, and I can support everything I'm saying. Okay. As far as the excavating, I didn't buy an excavator to intimidate her. I've planned on clearing that land for quite some time. I have not crossed over her border into her fenced area since the order. I haven't spoken to her. And the time she's referring to that I contacted her is when I was doing screenshots on my phone of her text, and I accidentally sent a repeat of an old message. The sheriff's deputy came out and asked me about that. I told him exactly what happened. He said it was very reasonable to think that that happened. I didn't send her any new information. It was an old message that accidentally got resent while I was doing screenshots of her old texts. Okay. I've never threatened her. I've never, ever said I will remove her from her home physically. That's absurd. I do not deny saying I will kill her cats after a very long saga of her wanting to kill every dog that she's ever seen. Every neighbor that has dogs knows that she hates their dogs. She's jumped over my back fence to clear back into the property and was intending to do harm to the neighbor's dog in a fenced area because they were barking at her cats. So this is a really long pattern, and Debbie is well known for switching everything that she's doing onto someone else. She claims everyone's spying on her, and no one's spying on her. She's got cameras out there. She walks around the property with night vision glasses on and in army fatigues looking around at stuff. It's completely absurd.
Well, she says in her petition that you took at least one of her cameras.
I'd like to address that. Yes. I asked her on multiple occasions not to have cameras pointing in the back area towards me. Now, as the landowner, I'm afforded that under RCW 9. Okay. I've asked her multiple times. She said she would turn them around. She did a few times. Then the cameras would keep coming back. This is before the protection order went in place. I went in there and removed the camera with no intention of stealing her camera. I wanted some privacy back there for myself and for my other tenant, because I feel for a long time she's been surveilling so she can see when people come and go so that she can go back there and take things. We've had a lot of things go missing, and surprisingly, a lot of those very same things are in her yard. So I did take the camera, and the camera went back to the deputy, and she's got them right back up where they were before, even though I've asked her on multiple occasions in person and through text not to have cameras pointing back in my direction. I told her at one point I didn't want any cameras on there because she's abusing her privilege to have cameras. They're not about security, they're about surveillance. She sets up lights pointing back, work lights and all kinds of lights to light up the whole area for who knows what reason.
Miss Kelly.
Your Honor, along the same lines of the camera harassment, it's pointing right at my residence. I have the text stating she's been videotaping me and who comes and goes for months. I've asked her many times. I have all the texts asking her politely to remove those cameras. She's invading my privacy, and she would not do so. As far as the guns, she, as Robert said, is out in the orchard, shooting her gun off. I think coyotes are chasing her cats in the middle of the night. I have the text of where she threatened to shoot my dog and kill it and do harm to Robert or myself. Even she talked about hiding bodies in septics because nobody would look for us there. And I just feel she's got some issues of I'm not sure what her stability is mentally, actually. So I feel she has miniguns. I know that. She does. So, but I didn't, and I do not have access to the locking mailbox. He has the key to it, so I've not stolen no mail. So but I just want to see this all resolved and just the better outcome for everybody. All these claims
Are
are
you
just
too
false. So
serious?
All right, Ms. Rohr, stop that. I told you not to interrupt them.
Yeah, I'm
All
sorry.
right, that's not how court works.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I just can't believe it.
All right,
we are
Just-
working to get this realigned, hopefully, so we can get it all reverse on some of this stuff so it can be addressed. So we were gonna ask for an extension on this, but if, you know, as it is, we're discussing it all right now, so maybe we can resolve it.
Okay.
So, thank you so
All right, thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll be honest, I've got a difficult time believing some of these accusations. But on the other hand, Mr. Randazzo, you don't have the right to take her cameras. I mean, I don't know why you think you do, but you don't. So, if you go and enter the property and take the cameras, you're running the risk of creating problems for yourself. That kind of thing can give a tenant a basis to take action against their landlord. Now I've got some limitations here because, really I can't issue an order against a landlord that says you can't enter on the property. That's not allowed in district court or in an anti-harassment order type case. But I don't think I'm really going to have to resolve that part because I just don't find credible allegations here. There's obviously tension. It sounds like all three of you people are maybe, distinct personalities and, you don't get along, which, happens in life. That's normal stuff. But, maybe it's cats and dogs are incompatible. I don't know, but clearly there's conflict here. But I will say, Ms. Rohr, the real way to handle your business conflict with Mr. Randazzo as your landlord is the way you're doing it, which is to talk to the Northwest Justice Project people. Your rights as a tenant are, they are not being diminished in any way by these proceedings. I can't do anything regarding your rights as a tenant or his rights as a landlord as part of this hearing. So I'm just focusing on the allegations of harassment that you brought. But based on the total evidence here, I just don't find that there's harassment. I think it's more appropriate for you to resolve your, as I would say, your business dispute, your dispute that's related to your landlord-tenant relationship in the context of your discussions with your Northwest Justice Project attorney. But on the evidence that I've got here in front of me today, I'm not issuing an order against either Ms. Kelly or Mr. Randazzo.
I'd like to know one thing though, is what have I stolen from you? That's what I'd like to know.
Okay, let's save those discussions for later, okay? Right now, the hearing's been held. I've heard
Okay.
everything everyone has to say. If you want to have further discussions between yourselves, do that after you've left the courtroom. So in both cases, I've written up the order denying the petition for anti-harassment order. If you would like, I can have the clerk copy these and give you copies, or you can get them from the court file anytime you would like.
I'm
We
sorry.
we can access them.
We can
Yeah.
have them printed at the main
Yeah.
office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any way to, I don't have to leave the court for a second.
Your Honor,
Yeah,
if I may.
we'll get those hard copies to you either, or we'll email them to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to address Debbie if I could.
Why don't you do that outside the
Outside,
court?
yes, please.
Yeah,
So I gotta make those copies now.
no, they can, we'll send them to them. 24-434. All right, next will be Haley. Okay, I say Miss Madrid, you're logged in, and Miss Jackson, you're logged in too. Okay, and Miss Jackson, are you ready to proceed with this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Miss Madrid, are you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. What I'll do is, like you may have seen in the previous cases, I'll swear you in, and then Ms. Madrid, as the petitioner, you'll get to go first. All right. Can I have each of you raise your right hand, please? Do you each swear that the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
I do.
Okay. All right, Ms. Madrid, go right ahead.
Yeah, so Josephine and I, the respondent, we were together until December 25th of 2022. I then went back and officially left her as of January 13th, 2023. Since then, there's been multiple instances of where there's been online fraud, identity theft, her showing up at my place of residence. Like one of the times my stepdad actually went out and tried to talk to her and she sped off. That same night is when she called the cops on me and told them I had a gun that was unregistered to me, which wasn't the case. And I kind of had to hide out. And then she was sending me pictures that she was at places I frequent, one of those being a barn out in Olympia. As far as the online fraud and stuff, I got notifications of her logging into my Snapchat, my Target, my Ticketmaster, trying to take concert tickets, trying to get information. That's like a common theme I'm noticing here. I actually moved out of the state to get away from the respondent. And obviously it didn't help because she keeps showing up. Even on the 4th of July this last year, my current girlfriend and I, we were at the rodeo and she showed up and she was there. More recently, she had sent me a text stating that my dental certifications were expired and I should probably let my employer know before they find out the hard way or something along those lines. And I just don't know why she's digging for this information, but she just keeps using stuff against me. And at this point, you know, it's been 2 years. I want to be done. I don't want any contact whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want me to know?
There was a previous court case for an asset we shared, which was a trailer. That's already been settled in court. I pay her $250 a month towards that negative equity. And that actually was due to her yesterday, but I didn't want to pay it because I didn't want to jeopardize anything that's going on with the temporary no contact order that's in place.
Okay, but that's a separate case involving property that you
Right.
shared at some earlier point.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, understood. I probably won't consider that as any part of this case then. Okay. All right. Anything else before I hear Ms. Jackson's side of this?
Yes, actually. There's been
Okay.
multiple incident reports that I filed with police. 3 that I
Mhm.
found. One was more recently, December 4th, in relation to her knowing about my dental certifications. One on May 17th, which was the day she came up here. And then one on June 14th. That one of 2024. That one, it wasn't in my name, but I was involved with that, where she showed up at another person's house that I was at.
Okay.
And then there was
Okay.
one other instance as well, where she attempted to get me fired from my job. I got a random phone call from my HR, and they said, "Hey, there was an anonymous report stating that you and your boss are sleeping together and exchanging nude photos and all this crazy stuff." So I had to get that situated. So this would now that she's talking about my dental certifications, this would be like a second attempt to do something with my job. And I mean, like I said, this has been going on for 2 years, and honestly, I'm exhausted.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Madrid. All right. Ms. Jackson, can I hear from you?
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you for taking the time today to listen to the evidence in this case. The exhibits I'll be referencing today can be found under the most recent uploaded exhibit list. To make the best use of your time, I'll go over a few claims the petitioner made, and then I'll jump into my exhibits. So I want to start off by saying I do not know where the petitioner works. I do know she works in the dental field, one for her telling me this on multiple occasions, but I do want to make it very apparent. I've never spoken with her job, as I do not know where she works. Other than that, I mean, there's no way for me to show you some proof for something that I've never done, because I just don't know where she works. With that being said, if I did know where she worked, I would have already been garnishing her for the $8,000 or so that she owes me that's court ordered. So just a brief background on that. I would like to note my phone number is not directly listed in a lot of the petitioner's exhibits. And I would like to note that the contact information differs from exhibit to exhibit from the petitioner. One of these instances is a conversation the petitioner alleges is between her and I regarding $110. I've never stolen from anyone, so I don't know who the petitioner was messaging about this, or what this exhibit was from or for. Again, I do notice a lot of the exhibits, the contact name changes frequently, my number's not directly listed, anything like that. The petitioner's claim that I attempted to log into various accounts of hers is false. I have never attempted to sign into any of the petitioner's accounts. In the screenshots uploaded by the petitioner picturing an email with the subject "new Snapchat login," it states that somewhere near Gresham, Oregon, there was an attempt to sign into the petitioner's Snapchat from an iPhone 13 Pro. I have never owned an iPhone 13 Pro, and I have never attempted to log into the petitioner's Snapchat. At the time of login, I had never even been to Gresham, which is over 50 minutes from my residence. The other sign-in attempt that the petitioner claims was me took place in Turner, Oregon. It is also not a device that I own. Additionally, in my Exhibit E is a screenshot of an email with the subject called "drive-by." You will see the petitioner admits to driving through the area, Turner, while she does not even live in the state of Oregon. She lives over 150 miles away. As far as the emails from Target, there is no indication anywhere in the petitioner's exhibits that I was connected to any of her Target account activity. Again, I have no idea what she's referring to. There's nothing in there showing me. I didn't even know she had a Target account. I will now be referencing my own exhibits. The petitioners claim that I ripped up her clothes and left them in the trailer. Under Exhibit A, you will see a screenshot of a text message from the petitioner. She states I did not have possession of the trailer on the exact date she claims I left the clothes in the trailer. This proves the petitioner is not being truthful in her exhibits or her claim. Exhibit B. It'll show 3 photos in response to the petitioner's claim that I showed up at her parents' house. The first photo shows me my personally owned AirPods at this location. After calling local law enforcement, I was instructed to notify the petitioner that I was coming to retrieve my items and to call the local police in her area for an escort. Under Exhibit B, you'll also see the record of my conversation with Tumwater Police. This also shows my claim of history of domestic violence towards myself from the petitioner and her family. This is why I was inquiring about an escort. This escort was made at 6:46 p.m. on 5/16/2023. The petitioner also showed an exhibit of text messages from her mother regarding my visit to the house to encourage her to file a police report against me. But I had legal, justifiable reasoning for being there that was backed by local law enforcement. The petitioner also claimed I showed up elsewhere, including Flying M Stables. I do not know where this is, and I have never been there. Overall, the petitioner claims that I've shown up to places she is at on multiple occasions, where this is not true. I don't even know half of these places listed. Also shown is a photo of her picking up the trailer from being serviced on 5/11/2023. Not only did I not have access to this trailer when she claims I did, as proved in my earlier exhibits, but this photo of the truck and trailer was sent to me by the petitioner, and she then drove it to an unknown location. The petitioner claims I was stalking her for knowing the license plate of the vehicle in the photo. This was a co-owned vehicle. She sent me a photo of it, so I had justifiable reason to know the plate number when I did show up to get my belongings from her house. The police officers did ask me, 1, is there any weapons? And 2, do you know anything about where she could be, or pretty much any identifiable information? So that's hence why I told them about her carrying a gun, as she has brandished it at me before. So for the safety of the law enforcement, as they were helping me get my stuff, I did tell them, and I was very honest and upfront with them about that. The petitioner claims I coincidentally showed up at the 4th of July rodeo in Malala that she was at. I was already there when she arrived, and I left when I found out she was there. My friend and I purchased tickets to this event months in advance. Malala is 30 minutes away from my house. The petitioner lives in Washington, and this is an event that is in Oregon. I did not anticipate her being there. This is another instance where the petitioner claims I am showing up places when in fact she is appearing at places I am justified to be. I had no idea someone out of state was going to come to an in-state event near me. Exhibit C shows calls and texts from the petitioner to myself after I left the rodeo when I found out she was there, trying to get me to return to the event. This shows the petitioner is not fearful of me and is willingly putting herself in situations where I am and trying to get me to come back. The petitioner shows multiple exhibits of Snapchat conversations allegedly with me. The Bitmojis, I'm not sure how aware you are of Snapchat, but it's the little picture of the person that you're having communication with. The Bitmojis are different for each conversation that she is stating happened. Exhibit D shows a screenshot of my Snapchat on someone else's page. My profile is listed as quote unquote wife. This shows a Bitmoji differing from the messages the petitioner alleged are between her and I, where she claims I threatened suicide. The next image is Exhibit D. It's an email from the petitioner admitting to her, quote unquote, bugging me all the time, and that she, quote unquote, can't do this anymore, and admitted to drinking too much. This shows the petitioner is the one contacting me, threatening suicide, and admits to her alcoholic behaviors. Exhibit E shows multiple occasions ranging from 2023 to 2024 in which the petitioner contacted me via call, text, and email repeatedly, despite me having expressed to her that I wanted to keep our communication strictly to legal proceedings. Further, the petitioner acknowledged in an email to me on 9/11/2023 that she was reaching out knowing I had wanted no contact. The petitioner has falsely claimed that I have intentionally showed up somewhere. I knew she would be. She, however, had admitted to showing up to my house on one of multiple occasions. As shown in Exhibit E, you'll see a screenshot that states drive-by. My house is over 150 miles from where she lives. This goes to show that she's going out of her way to harass me, despite my best efforts to minimize contact. Exhibit E also shows that I strictly keep our conversations to the things the court has instructed me to work out with her. But the petitioner continuously reaches out and begins other conversations. The petitioner consistently initiates communication with me, which does not support her claim that she is fearful of me and fearful of speaking to me when she's starting these conversations. On 10/5/2024, the petitioner chose to come to an exchange of sale of a motorcycle, despite not being one of the parties on the payment agreement. She had no relation to this, and she showed up. She did not need to be there, yet she chose to go, which does not align with her claims of being fearful of me and wanting minimal contact. This recent evidence shows the petitioner is not fearful of being in the same place as me. Furthermore, she was very rude to me and my girlfriend when we were there, and even made fun of my girlfriend for planning to stay in the dental field long term. It was during that exchange that she originally stated that her dental assisting license has expired, which is why I brought it up with her via text. There's also a statement from my girlfriend that really can just go to show her point of view during that time. She is also here via Zoom if you would like to speak with her or if you have any questions for her. Exhibit F will show why I believe the petitioner is submitting this out of retaliation against me. First, This exhibit shows our mediated agreement from small claims court, which the petitioner has continually been angry about. She also threatens to not make payments on the agreement unless I do something for her. For example, the petitioner texted me asking me to remove my Apple Watch from my iCloud so she can sell it. I told her she did not have my permission to sell my Apple Watch, to which she responded she would not pay me my court-ordered amount unless I removed it from my iCloud. The next day, I was notified that someone logged into my iCloud, which she previously had access to. I assume this was her in an attempt to remove my Apple Watch so she could sell it. I still have not received back my Apple Watch or AirPods referenced in one of my first few exhibits. This protection order was filed just days after I told her she did not have my permission to sell the Apple Watch. Your Honor, I sit here at the mercy of this court. This protection order has the potential to ruin my current and future employment, as well as affect my life greatly. I do not take this lightly, and for my own sake, no matter what the outcome is here, I will no longer be contacting the petitioner in regards to anything, including court-ordered mediation. I will be contacting her through the courts. Any court-ordered mediation payment will go through them. I believe the petitioner filed this out of retaliation against me. I believe without a shadow of a doubt that recent behaviors, as well as past behaviors, tell the courts all they need to know. The petitioner has reached out to me many times and has gone as far as thanking me for reaching out regarding mediated agreements just last month, November 2024. The petitioner has shown up to places where I am, where she has no business being, and has been straight up dishonest with the court. The petitioner is telling a story and trying to paint me in a bad light. Your Honor, from my own fear of her and her abuse, I would not show up anywhere I knew she would be if I didn't have to, as she has done. The petitioner's claims are largely from 2023 and recent behaviors and patterns of contact indicate normal communication about small claims. She is not afraid of me, and she knows I have done nothing wrong and is filing this out of retaliation. The petitioner reaches out to me consistently, violates our court-mandated agreements, and has willingly gone out of her way to insert herself into and physically appear at situations in my life that do not involve her. I have shown that the petitioner is being dishonest with the court, and I am not harassing or stalking her. I hope you are able to make a decision today that takes the truth into account. That is all. Thank you for your time, Your Honor.
All right, and I have Ms. Saunders' statement here, the written statement that was filed by her. Is there any additional testimony besides what's already in the declaration?
I would say that would be up to her if she has anything she feels she needs to say. I would like to be impartial to it, whatever she feels is necessary.
I believe my declaration covers everything that I have to say. Just to reiterate that I had the respondent's location and that she has not been to Washington recently other than the incident on 10/5 and for my grandmother's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's contained in the declaration.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Okay. You both have submitted a fairly extensive amount of information for the court to consider here in this case. And it's also pretty well organized and descriptive. So I appreciate that you both took the time to do that, to present your side of the case clearly like that. So in applying the law here, in this situation, I have to keep in mind that I have to be able to find by a preponderance of the evidence that there's been acts of domestic violence, or if this was to be characterized as a anti-harassment petition, slightly same standard of proof, but a slightly different set of things that would have to be proved. And I think that this is really properly characterized as a domestic violence petition based on the nature, the fact of the relationship previously between the parties. And analyzing it in that light, Ms. Madrid, I understand the context of the points that you brought up in your statement and in your written material regarding what Ms. Jackson has done. However, in listening to Ms. Jackson, I also appreciate that her explanation for events kind of cast a little bit different light on it. It makes sense to me what Ms. Jackson has said about how her actions have been offered versus how they've been interpreted, I suppose would be a good way to put it. I don't think that a reasonable person in your position, Ms. Madrid, would believe in light of all of this, that there have been acts of domestic violence committed against them. I'm particularly thinking in terms of stalking. I think that was the term that you used in your initial petition. So here, based on that preponderance of the evidence standard, I can't find by the greater weight of the evidence that Ms. Jackson has stalked Ms. Madrid or that she's committed any acts of domestic violence against her. And accepting Ms. Jackson's explanation for events and I suppose also her characterization of them, I'm not issuing a domestic violence protection order or any other order. All right, the temporary order that was previously issued at the time of the petition is terminated.
Your Honor, I do have a quick question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
This job, as I am a public employee, I wanted to verify that this temporary order would not show on my background check, or if there's something that I need to do to ensure that it does show nothing was found in this.
The findings of the court are in this written order that I'm preparing. This is the final order in the case, the temporary order. It's the question that you've asked, I can't exactly answer, because if anyone is to inquire about the court proceedings here, they would have access to the entirety of the court file from the time this case was filed, everything that was filed by both parties, recordings of the hearings, the documents that were produced by the court, everything. Now, how that party would interpret them or how that party would, apply any of their own rules to you, for example, that's entirely up to them. The proceedings are not sealed. They're not expunged. There's no erasing of the court record. It's all just in the record. It's there for anyone who wants to examine it. And what their purposes are, the court isn't really in a position to be able to control.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. This order is going to be filed with the court clerk now, and it'll be available to both of you online, and you can also have it emailed to you.
Perfect. Can we just request that via email?
You can.
Thank you for your time today, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you both. Just right there at the table. Mr. Hines is here on the Zoom call. All right. Now, Mr. McConkey, I've got your petition here.
Yes, sir.
And I noticed right away in your petition that you said that Mr. Hines is a squatter on your property. And that raises some concerns with me about.
No, he's cutting wood on my property, sir.
What's that?
He's cutting wood on my property.
Yeah, understood. But I need to establish, first of all, what his relationship is. Is he living on the property?
Pardon?
Let's get Mr. McConkey a hearing assist device. We're going to get you a hearing assistance device, Mr. McConkey. Okay. All right, Mr. McConkey, is that a little bit better?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent.
Excellent.
Good. Want to make sure you could hear me. Okay, so I did have a couple questions I wanted to get resolved here
Yes, sir.
first. Okay, so I'm concerned because in your petition, you said that Mr. Hines lives on that property over there on
No, I did
Trosper Road.
not.
So he doesn't?
No,
Okay.
I never, no, never.
But when you say a squatter, what do you mean by that?
They're all over Olympia and they're all over Tumwater, and they get on the neighbor's property. They've got trailers, they've got mobile home, and on mine and everything. And I'd rather not even talk about it. I mean, but I never rented to him. I never leased to him. I never had nothing to do with him.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask him about it too. I'm going to ask him the same question. All right. Mr. Hines, do you want to explain to me your relationship to Mr. McConkey's property?
My girlfriend was moved in and was to be his caretaker. I've known Mr. McConkey for about 1.5 years. He's known me. He lives in the front yard of the house I'm staying at. I'm not in a trailer. I'm not in a tent. I live in a house, and his trailer is directly in front of my house. He filed for eviction. I believe the day before he filed for this protection order. So I know Mr. McConkey, and he knows me just the same.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let him go first, and then I'll hear from you, Mr. Hines, and I'll make a decision. So can I have you both raise your right hands, please? All right. And do you each swear the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McConkey, go ahead.
He started cutting wood on the property there, and I never leased to him. I never rented. There was 2 women living in that house, and for 8 years, Linda lived in there, next to it. But they got in the house now. He was not there at that time at all, but he started visiting or something in there. But then he was in jail for a long time because the kid went to the one, she got her boy in court, a true court, with a forged lease that I never signed, that with them. But he was hanging around there, but those 2 women were in there. But that had nothing to do with he came around. And when he did tell me, he lived over in McClary, Washington, with his divorcing wife over there. And I know they told me that. But
so what has Mr. Hines done to you that is harassment, that you think is harassment?
He is cutting wood. He's in and out, drives his car out in the back. He's cut over 1 acre of my wood, plus he's cut wood on the neighbor's property a little bit. And I think they stopped him, and they don't live on that. But then he came over, and he's cleared over 1 acre of mine. An officer, I phoned up the police, and they came, and he hid in the bushes or something there. And they said there wasn't anything they could do about it. But Officer Stopper told me to come and get this order off, and he knows the situation very well.
Okay.
And he said to call each time he cuts to put it on the record. And I sit there, but he drives right beside my driveway, going out in the back and cutting wood. You can hear him cutting back there with the chainsaw. He had a helper sometime. And then a couple hours later, he comes out, goes out down the street with a big load of cut and split wood. And he cuts every tree down, cedar, fir, everything. And it's well over 1 acre of our property we've owned since 1950.
Okay, I understand what you're telling me. All right, so you're saying that he's going onto your property unauthorized, that he's using a chainsaw to cut down trees?
Yes, sir.
He's cutting up the wood and hauling it away?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you haven't given him permission to do
No,
that?
sir.
All right, that's your property over on Trosper Road?
Trosper Road, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, is there anything I'm missing, or is that the sum?
No, that's fairly what it is, sir. I never rented to him. And he came later after I think those women got it into the house of Linda's house. And I don't want to bring that up.
Different issue.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let me see what Mr. Hines has to say about this, and we'll make a decision. Mr. Hines?
Yes, Your Honor. I have lived here on property for, like I said, a good year and a half. I have cut down no trees on Mr. McConkey's property. I am aware that trees have been cut down, but when the police came and talked to me, I've talked to the police in person, and they have also given me a phone call. Officer Smith had just contacted me sometime last week, and we had a decent discussion. I have cut down no trees on Skip's property. I do go and collect firewood from places that I'm allowed to be on, and I cut them so they're short enough to fit in the truck of mine, and I bring it back to the property so I can burn. We have the wood stove to provide heat, and that's all we have here at the house. Like I said, I've cut down no trees. Mr. McConkey sees me with the chainsaw, but it is not his wood. I have cut down no trees, and none of the firewood I have burned have came from this property. And I said the same thing to the police officers that called and the ones in person.
So, Mr. Hines, where do you live?
I live on his property on Trosper. I've lived here for a year and a half with my girlfriend.
On his property?
Yes. We actually, there's proof that I was here. There was a police report that when Skip broke into our house, I called the police, and there was the police department came out, and that's all on file. So, I mean, I've been here a year and a half. And even the court papers or the police reports that were given on that time, my girlfriend was on a lease here, and that I was staying here with her and have been since she moved in.
All right. Well, Mr. McConkey just got done telling me that you don't live there on his property.
There's police records of me calling the police when he broke into our house. Her son's birthday of August of last year. And my name is on the police report. I was the one that called the police. There's everybody here that lives here on the property would say that I've been here. I moved in the same time she did, and she does have a lease. And he was aware of me when she first moved in because I was here helping her move in.
All right, I want to go back to you a minute, Mr. McConkey.
Yes, sir.
So he's telling me that he lives on that property with his girlfriend. Can you explain your point of view on that?
Sir, you're getting into another issue. When he's saying he called the police, his girlfriend through Linda lived on there 8 years. She was in the hospital. She was coming home on Tuesday. This was on Thursday. I was over putting her new oxygen machine that they brought. I opened the door. She had no lease on that property, but Linda did, and Community Action Council paid me 5 months rent in advance for Linda on that property. I held it. There was no reason that I would change over and put them into my house willingly or sign a lease. I signed no lease. They had none. They told the police they had a lease on that. Now I'm bringing up a whole bunch here and if they have a lease, they told the police that the police have to see it. And he says, do you have the lease to her? She said, yes, I do. And he said, well, let me see it. Well, Skip stole the lease and all my jewelry out of the house. She was there applying to be a caregiver for Linda, along with 2 other women. And Herman was taking the applications, not me. And she would never be a caregiver for me. I wouldn't have her if you'd seen her, where she was owed $2,200 out at the motel there. I found out afterwards that they finally got her out of there with the other 2 women that moved in on me. and they told the police put her in that house and let her go in and took me to jail and put me in the insane asylum at St. Peter's for a week and a half. And all that happened to me. And I'm a 93-year-old veteran, and this bunch of them are, and he wasn't in there. He said he had a house over and was going to get it from his ex-wife when they sold the property that her family owned that.
McCleary.
In McCleary, yes, sir. And there's more to it than that. I kind of helped them and everything, or the two women, but they got into the house, and it's been, you ought to see that house today. And when Linda was to live there, it was perfect. And she paid the rent, and Linda and Herman and I were all very happy there. But when the police said, let me see that lease, she said they stole it. Okay, if I stole that lease, then when she got her, the boy came from California for the visit that her father, or the father of it, brought him up for the week visit. She went to Herman, and they came to the judge here, and the judge said, yes, I'm going to give you the son, I'm going to give you child support. So Herman, she came into the court here, and the judge says, well, I'll give you the son. Do you have a place to live? She said, yes, I have a lease, Your Honor, a 2-bedroom house. And that was right after she got in there, a week or two later. And she went out and came back and showed the judge a lease that's forged. There was no lease in the first one. If I'd stolen the lease, the day the police asked me, would I give her another lease to come up here? And would I go, the city cut $4,000 worth of water off on me. So she didn't have any water. So she got a free attorney, came up before Judge Zinn and told Judge Zinn that I cut the water off. And Judge Zinn gave her $100 a day. I owe her $6,000 for having the water cut off. And they went over, and now it's automatically turned back on according to the city of Tumwater. And now I own it. I own all those other people on their electric. The Puget Power came and looked in the wires. They've got wires hooked up. Those are squatters. I've had enough of it. My family's been there good. I like what scholarships into Evergreen College. I donated the land for Trosper Road East, all of it. I grew up in the Tumwater Valley. We donated the damn golf course to the citizens, and I'm trying to put that property. I told them take it for their new community center. It's 15 acres of a property for a beautiful community center, a golf course, and everything. How much can a man do?
At this point, I have to say, the court can't resolve this dispute. The court doesn't have jurisdiction to resolve this dispute. Mr. Hines is raising the issue that he lives there. I can't make. I don't have the jurisdiction to make the decision as to whether he has the right to be there. If, as you say, he's a squatter, then that determination has to be made.
Well, I didn't say he's a. If I did, they're all squatters, Your Honor. There's two women in there. They've never paid me a penny rent.
They may be squatters, but you're in the wrong court. Okay, you have to go across the sidewalk to the Superior Court and if you believe they're squatters.
Thousands of dollars. I know all about it.
Well, if you know, you know. I can't.
Where do I get the thousand? I get $260 a month since 1960 with my military pension.
Well, Mr. McConkey, I'm sorry, but the law does not allow me to issue an order that would remove him from that property. I can't do it.
No.
You can, if you'd like to. He can get it any time, or if you want to grab it for him, the clerk can get a copy pretty soon.
Am I free to go too, Your Honor?
You're good to go, Mr. Hines.
I appreciate it. Thank you.